Hello everyone, it's the hardcore legend Mick Foley wishing a nice day to everyone there, right there at True Heel Heat. Yeah!
Oye, te habla tío Sabio Vega. This is Sabio Vega and you watching True Heel Hit a mi manera o para la calle.
Alright, ready when you are.
Hey guys, I may have go away heat, but these guys have true heel heat. So you better listen to the podcast or else I'm gonna kick you in your fucking cock and balls.
I'll get it.
Here I go again on my own. Da-da-da-da. Going down this lonely road. I'm searching for, I don't know the words. Here I go again on my own. Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube and Facebook for our Dark Side of the Ring Season 4, Episode 7, Abdullah the Butcher, Legacy of Blood review. Dark Side of the Ring. We've been reviewing this show since all the way back in Season 2. We've done all the reviews for Season 2. Went back, did all the reviews for Season 1. Followed throughout Season 3. And now we are back doing the same thing for Season 4. I want to thank everyone who checked out our Season 4, Episode 6. The Tragic Fall of Adrian Adonis review from earlier this week. And now we thank everyone who is with us live for our Dark Side of the Ring Season 4, Episode 7 review. Usually I am joined by the princess of all the True Heels, Miss Krssi Love. We are starting a little bit late. We were supposed to start at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time. This stream started about 10 minutes later. Krssi Love is dealing with an emergency right now, so all the best to her. Hopefully she will join us before we leave. And I realize I got a lot of blood on this screen. They got the red, my red background. You got the red for the for the Legacy of Blood with Abdullah the Butcher. And then I got red because I'm wearing a LIJ Los Inganables de Japón shirt. Shout out to Yoda Suji, who had a good effort in the G1 today. But no, we're not here to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, not here to talk about WWE, AEW. We are here to talk about Dark Side of the Ring. So I want to thank everyone who is with us live. I want to thank everyone who is watching us on demand. We appreciate y'all for joining us live for these live reviews of Dark Side of the Ring. We appreciate y'all who's been checking out our pre-recorded reviews of Dark Side of the Ring. Show that appreciation back by dropping a thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We are less than 200 subscribers away from our next milestone, 8,000 subscribers, and we are inching very, very close to our milestone for 2023 overall of 10,000 subscribers, where we will have a special stream for y'all. We will have some special new stuff for you guys to enjoy here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. So remember to do all that. Remember to sound off in the live chat if you're with us live. We love to interact with all of you. We do these live streams so we can interact with all of you. So sound off in the live chat. Give us your thoughts on the Abdullah the Butcher episode of Dark Side of the Ring, Legacy of Blood. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know what you liked, what you disliked, what you thought they missed from this episode. Let me know in the live chat, or let me know in the comments down below. Any opinions on this episode are just my opinions. If Krssi's able to join us, it's just Krssi's opinions. They are not the opinions. We want to hear from all of you. We love to interact, so let us know in the comments down below what you thought about this episode. And all in all, I would say this is the most unique episode of Dark Side of the Ring this year, because it's not necessarily about the drugs and the addiction. It's not necessarily about depression and suicide, which has been the common themes of the episodes of season 4. This one is about taking things too far. And basically losing yourself in the business, I think, is the overarching theme, but I think we can discuss that as we go along with this episode. So, like I said, anyone, Jordan, sound off in the live chat. I'll acknowledge you guys. You know the deal. But let's talk about Dark Side of the Ring, Season 4, Episode 7, Abdullah the Butcher, Legacy of Blood. We start with the following on the screen. Warning. The following program contains dangerous acts performed by professionals. Do not try this at home. Trust me, I will never try stabbing anyone with a fork at home. Does not matter how much my kids annoy me. I will teach them to not stab anybody with a fork at home unless it's a trespasser. Then everything's up in the air. Sorry, folks. Got to keep it real. Well, the teaser before the episode starts proper has featured a lot of blood. We see near riots and someone hoping Abdullah the Butcher dies a painful death. And that's only in the intro to this, as we go through a synopsis, basically, before we get into the actual episode. Well, we start this episode with the legendary, the hardcore legend, the WWE Hall of Famer, Mick Foley, who tells us that Abdullah would travel region to region and set business on fire. Fans were rooting for their favorites to just survive Abdullah instead of, wanting to see them win like they did with all the other heels in the territories at this time. He says he knew of the legend of Abdullah the Butcher and makes the point, I did about learning about guys outside your region via magazines. They show up some of the magazines and it's all coming back. It's all coming back to me, because I remember my first kind of images, my first time seeing Abdullah the Butcher was from Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI. I used to go to 86th Street on the east side with my mom. We used to go to either Papayas or to the movie theater, and then afterwards our routine was to go by the newsstand, and if I was good, if I had good grades in school, I could get a PWI. I could get one of the non-WWF magazines, and that's how I discovered a lot of the guys that weren't, prominent members of like the WWF, WCW, even how I discovered ECW is from those magazines as well, which made me go out of my way to search for ECW and finally find it on syndication on MSG on a Saturday evening one day. We get Mick says that he put a photo of Abdullah on his wall in college and told people that was his father, which popped the hell out of me. That popped the hell out of me. Abdullah the Butcher being Mick Foley's father. Imagine Abdullah the Butcher laying the pipe on Mrs. Foley. Or laying the fork down. He gonna fork her up. He gonna fork up her insides. I told you guys, see, we ain't even make it far into this episode here, and she has arrived. It is the queen of talking Dark Side of the Ring, the princess of all the true heels, Miss Krssi Love. How you doing?
What's going on, peeps? How you doing? What's up?
How's
Happy Friday.
Everything okay? Everything copacetic?
It's going. It's a Band-Aid right now. It's a Band-Aid.
No worries. We know about that. We watch Triple H booking. We do have our first comment here in the chat from Frantic World. Thank you, Frantic World, for joining us here. He says, "What's up, SP3 in chat? This episode of Abdullah the Butcher was good, sad, and wild." And I started things off saying on this review here, saying that this is the first episode this season that felt very unique from every other episode that we've seen.
I totally agree. One, he's still alive. Two, his downfall was something totally opposite than all of the other episodes. So yeah, it took a hard turn, but not a turn where it was like, okay, it was a different turn, I want to say, of events that caused this episode to be like very interesting.
Yeah, it was like usually what we've seen this season is drugs and addiction or depression and suicide take these people. This one, those themes weren't here like that.
Nope, not at all. It's just money and other things.
Pretty much. So they discussed the look with the fork, and he would use and all the cuts and scar tissue in his forehead, and he would do promo photos eating liver with the blood pouring out of his mouth.
Yeah.
So we meet famed Spanish announcer. If you've seen any of the great Attitude Era stuff of a Spanish announcer flying everywhere, it is this man, Hugo Savinovich, who has been in the business for close to 50 years, and he mentions nobody was safe with Abdullah, as he would put his body, and he would put legit fear in your body. And we see Abdullah eating the raw chicken, and we meet his sister, Josephine. She mentions that the butcher could also tear phone books in half. And some out there, maybe I know there was people that was watching this who are wondering, what's a phone book?
Oh, children. Oh, if you only knew what we had to go through to find someone's number back in the day. Yep.
It's not as simple as putting it on the internet or asking for it. No.
Nope. You had to go through the pages. It was a yellow book or white pages. And they would send it to your house every year. All the times.
All the times. So Josephine is here to talk about life growing up, and they grew up in a 2-bedroom house with 8 people in Windsor. Ralph Shifri, Ralph, is Abdullah's brother, and he says that he had his own room and he had to sleep in the bathtub. His father would come in and piss in a can, but his mother didn't want to do that, so he had to leave his bed when she needed to go. He says Abdullah is the money name, but his brother is Larry. He warns the
Larry.
producer about interviewing his brother and that he may want to keep his distance. I thought his brother was very eccentric. If you
Yes, very, very. At one point, I was like, "Well, is he talking bad about him or is he talking good about him?" I could never really tell how the brother would talk about his, Abdullah or
his
Larry.
delivery was interesting. His
Yes, it was
delivery
just
of
like,
stuff.
yeah, it just was like, okay, like, are you upset with him or like, I don't know how to receive this information that you're giving us. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand.
So we see highlights of the butcher terrorizing people as they cut to him using his walker to come in for his interview. He tells us his name is Larry Shivi, but his wrestling name is Abdullah the Butcher, and he is from Khartoum, Sudan. But since
Sudan,
he
yep.
is out of the business, he is from Khartoum, Sudan, Windsor,
That's
Ontario.
Terrio. Yep.
he,
Ah.
he gets emotional talking about his parents and didn't realize his mom was scrubbing the floors of funeral homes until he saw it. He didn't care about learning after that, learning to read or write. He just wanted to make money. He would sell candy as a kid and learned kids were afraid of him when he would try to collect. He dropped out of school in the 2nd grade.
I don't even
And
know how that's possible. Really, I don't know. I don't understand how that was even possible. I'm like,
how can you make that decision?
correct. Thank
My
you.
parents would have whooped my ass.
Exactly. It's like I had no choice but to get up and go to school every day. Like, what do you mean?
My mom made me go to school
I had
every day.
perfect
You think
attendance. Like, I had to go to school. Like, if I had to be like dying not to go to school.
perfect attendance? This one over here. Um, he
I'm
would
only
go
just telling you
home.
because she was like, no, I gotta go to work. Like, I don't have time to stay home with you. I have to go to work. So we had to go to school. Like,
Pretty much. He would go home to home and ask for old clothes to sell. And then he started basically like a wholesale to sell clothes. And then he started shining shoes. He would work as a janitor, a mover, and was basically a hustler. He
I was like,
even
is this
ran a
Jody from Baby Boy? I was like, what's happening?
no, Jody from Baby Boy couldn't get a job. That's it.
Right.
He has
Well,
he is Uncle Ruckus from Boondocks. He got too many jobs.
you know what? You're right. That's true. That's true.
He even ran a karate place for senior
See,
citizens so
citizens.
they could defend themselves, which I thought that popped me. He was doing the karate deal when a promoter told him he should be a wrestler. And he replied, "Oh, I don't want to do that crap." And he was then told he could make a lot of money, and that's all it took. He was like, "Money?"
Me?
He traveled to Detroit where he met the original Sheik, and we get kind of a
Chic of Detroit.
highlight. Yeah, we get highlights of the Sheik using a fork and fireballs on people, and then we meet one of our favorites. It's Uncle Tony Atlas is here. Uncle Tony.
Only Uncle Tony, man. Love Uncle Tony, man.
He mentions Abdullah learned from the Sheik, and Abdullah told his dad he was wrestling at Cobo Hall, and his dad told him he needed to get out of that shit. Abdullah told his dad to smack him, and
Smack
when
me.
he
Yep.
did, he started bleeding, and he showed his father the blade, and his dad realized his son was crazy.
Yep.
What do you think? What do you think you would tell one of your children? They came over and said they wanted to be a wrestler, and to prove they were ready to be a wrestler, they bladed in front of you.
That I'm like, they didn't even really say how old he was when that even happened. Like, so I'm like, when did these chain of events even like occur? Like, how long, before you became, the wrestler, like you was doing all these other things. It's like the chain of events. I was like, this part of the story was a little fuzzy for me, but nevertheless, telling your son to hit you and then you blade in front of him is like, yeah, I would think you're crazy too. Like why are you cutting yourself? Like, and then the word fake is supposed to be like a thing. So like you're thinking that this is all scripted and everything, and he's like, wait, why are you even bleeding? Like, what do you, yeah, I would think something is wrong with you too.
Don't you have like a catch-up packet for that or
Right.
something? Why you
Like,
cutting
have you
yourself,
used
son?
Kool-Aid
Son,
or something? Like, we gotta use something
stop
like,
getting your blood on the kitchen table. Come on,
right.
you're getting your blood on the kitchen floor. We do have Frantic Girl in the chat who says is Hugo Savinovich with AAA, right? And I didn't know Abdullah can bleed so easily. Yes, Hugo
Yeah.
is with AAA. He's one half of their Spanish announce team over there. So yeah. So the butcher heads to Puerto Rico where he meets up with Carlos Colon and his right-hand man, Hugo. Hugo was made Abdullah's manager and says it was a crazy way to earn a living. Abdullah was earning crazy money for everyone on the island, and he was worth every penny he was paid. And Hugo tells us that Abdullah was making big money, and Atlas says that Abdullah was very cautious with his money and always made sure he was paid correctly. Abdullah says he always sent money to his parents and made sure his mother never had to work another day in her life. He tells the story of going into the funeral home and getting her after he got his first big payday and telling her she didn't need to work anymore. And he admits that he was dumb though. And he never had schooling because, like we said, he dropped out
of
of
his second grade.
So we learn Abdullah today has all kinds of legal troubles and is in financial ruin, and he admits he is in real bad shape. That is the downside. You could feel on top in 1980, 1990, and then in 2023, you could be at the bottom. How sad is it to
Yeah.
hear that, his lack of schooling and need for money is why he's in the point where he's in financial ruin.
Yeah. It's really, really sad. And it's like you said, all the people, he said it too, like all the people that was behind him or with him, like, I guess kind of took advantage of all of that or whatever. So now he really has no like funds or whatnot. So it's really, really sad that he's going through all these legal troubles and he can't even read anything that's on the papers. So it's like, how did you sign your name?
Just signing his life away, basically.
Right, pretty much.
Mick Foley says that Larry was difficult to know for fans as you weren't sure where the man started and the character ended. Mick says traveling with him, you learn as much as he will let you know. And that lets us meet Jocelyn Michaela Marshall, who is Abdullah's caregiver. She met him while she was on the streets feeding the homeless. Abdullah told her that his name was Joe, and he was out feeding people as well as he owned a restaurant, Abdullah the Butcher, House of Ribs, and Chinese food.
So it's like, how did you have that?
He owned businesses. We've heard at the end. Who is lying here?
Yeah, right.
Who is lying here?
That part, SP. You're saying it right now, friend, because it's like, who helped? Like, you're saying you can't read or write. You had to get a lease or buy this property. You just said, "Here, give them my money," and just you do everything. Like something is not adding up. So it's like, where is the disconnect? Because it's like something was like way off.
Math ain't mathin'.
Math is it definitely wasn't mathing at this point. I was like, wait, huh?
She would learn later from her son that Joe, quote unquote, was Abdullah the Butcher, and her son, she remarks, liked all the bad guys. Yes, he's a true heel. Her son's a true heel. True heel. Mick and Tony say that Abdullah was in gimmick pretty much all the time. He was around the public, and his motto was to always protect the character. Atlas says that if you survive Abdullah, it made you a star. Or he said, if you survive Abdullah, it made you a star. And says that himself and Carlos Colon became stars because of Abdullah. Then we go to Japan, where Abdullah was over huge as the monster bad guy. We see Abdullah in movies and in commercials and even in a cartoon. And he even recorded an album. We got another album.
Again, how did you read the words? Did they tell you the words?
I mean, to be fair, he recorded an English-speaking album in Japan. He didn't have to have the correct words. So, I mean,
I mean, okay, well, that's perfectly fine. All I'm saying is they gave you the words to sing, or did you just say those words yourself? Like, what happened
he did the
exactly?
Jay-Z. He ain't even write it down. He went right in the booth. He went right in the booth and he dropped them bars on him. He dropped the bars on him, Krssi.
You know what? You know what? I'm okay.
He was like, all I gotta do is listen to the beat. Abdullah, like, all I gotta do is listen to the beat, and I just go in there and I just spit bars. Hit him
Spit
with a
bars.
fork
Yeah.
and let him twerk. Oh man, so they show the various video games that have also used Abdullah as an inspiration. Next we meet Devin Hannibal
Oh,
Nicholson, who
this
says
scumbag.
who's
Sorry.
very proud, so smug, so proud to
Yeah.
say that he ended Abdullah's career inside and outside the ring. Devin started in Stampede in 2001 and basically started his own promotion. And before working with Abdullah, he considered Abdullah the Butcher a mentor and as someone that he basically looked up to as a death match wrestler. He was kind of like an inspiration for him, and also starting in that Ontario area as well. So that makes a whole world of sense. But I was as soon as he came on the screen, I didn't feel comfortable. I don't know about you. As soon as he came on the screen, I was like, I don't like this guy.
Just
There's
scream
something about
asshole
him.
to me. Yeah, just scream like something just about him was just like you're an ass, son. Like I don't like yeah.
I
And
think it was
then
the opening when he was just like,
oh yeah, I'm
I
the
hope
one
he
that
I hope he dies. I hope he
right.
dies a miserable death.
This was right before the
Jesus.
commercial break, and I was like, "Wait, we doing this?" I was like, "Sir, like, what is happening? Like, you do that? You wish that on somebody? Like, that's horrible."
So Hannibal says that Abdullah was the first wrestler to take him under his wing and teach him the business. They would often tag and work against each other, and Abdullah says they were friends, and he would work for him. And Devin says that he knows people will hate him for exposing Abdullah, but he doesn't care.
Yep, he just yeah.
So Abdullah is 68 years old and he's having his retirement match in Canada against Hannibal. Devin tells a story of watching a tape as a kid that featured wrestlers bleeding, and he was curious of how that were able to do it. So we get Devin cutting a blade and showing us how it's done without actually cutting himself. Of course, he says Bret Hart would put it in his mouth, but he was afraid to do that and just hit it in his wrist tape. They discuss Abdullah bleeding, and Mick says it was like magic as he never recalled seeing Abdullah bleed. Atlas says that Abdullah had blades on every finger. So
Yeah.
the reason he had those tape fingertips because he had
Because he had
blades in
blades
them.
in them. Yep. Now it makes all
So
sense. So, you know.
he said he would cut people with them and then use the fork to get even more blood. And Tony talking about it. He was like, it would hurt like hell.
Yep.
He notes
He
that
gave you
Abdullah.
the real information on it. Yeah.
He said Abdullah would cut you deep too, but nobody complained because if you did, you weren't tough enough. He
Yep.
said Ric Flair has to have the robe,
Rope.
and Abdullah has to have the blade. Ralph notes the man was called the Butcher. So what were you expecting? We have to work WWF in here somehow because it's Dark Side of the Ring. So they do note that Vince McMahon never signed Abdullah the Butcher because of all the blading and lack of trust. Back to Devin, who tells the story of them doing press in Canada, and Abdullah was booked for a daytime show, and the host breaks out a fork. And it's just like, where is this going? Abdullah puts the host in a headlock, puts a plate of food on his face, and then he breaks the plate over his head. The guy is bleeding above his eye. Devin came in to break it up and play it off as a joke, and somehow Abdullah got away with it. I don't know how he did, but that was 2009 and wouldn't fly today, as he said.
I mean, it shouldn't have been flying back then either. Like, I don't understand like how Abdullah was doing these things. I mean,
how you break a plate over somebody's head? You doing an interview?
I guess that's like Mick always saying. He was always in character. That's why, except for when he did this documentary.
We got Frantic Girl in the chat that says, yeah, I didn't like that Hannibal said that stuff about Abdullah. We also got Frantic Girl said, to me, Abdullah wasn't a heel. He was a wild, crazy man that liked to cut people. Yep. I thought he was a monster. I thought he was a heel. I thought,
he could definitely be seen as a heel.
I never saw him as a babyface. That's for sure.
That was definitely
Devin was then signed by WWE, and we see him working the D shows, Velocity, Heat, that type of stuff. His career is over.
He thought he made it.
Yes. His career is quickly over after signing, after they do some tests on him, and he tests positive for hepatitis C. Oof. Here we go. He was confused how he contracted the disease, and Atlas notes a lot of guys would use dirty blades, and he says that they would share blades because of not everyone carried one, and they knew Abdullah always had one. They always made sure to give it back to him, though, and that was when I was just like, oh no. Here we go.
This is where the flags start going up. Like, flag on the play, friend. Flag on the play.
Red flag. Bloody flag. Devin immediately thought, immediately after testing positive, he immediately believes that it's from Abdullah, but he never thought he would have evidence to support that. Abdullah, he's like, yeah, I used to be friends with him. I used to work for him. And he says, I don't even want to talk about this. So I was just like, oh man, this must be bad. This must be bad. So Devin says he had a documentary about his journey to the WWE. And he ended up being a sad story because his hepatitis diagnosis. They have footage from a match in 2007 where Abdullah cuts his own head with a razor and then uses the same razor on Devin. Hugo has heard about the footage but has never seen it, so the producers show it to him and he is blown away. He is just
I'm like,
why would you do that? He notes that he managed Abdullah for 8 years and he never saw him do that to anyone. But, you know, you get older, you get a little lazy. Just saying. One of the top lawyers in Ottawa took on the case and they got Abdullah to provide a blood sample and he tested positive for hepatitis C. The footage and the blood test were enough for a lawsuit. Abdullah says that he couldn't read the lawsuit and didn't understand.
This is where it is. Yeah.
Sad.
It's like somebody's grandpa. And you're like, damn, poor, like no one helped them. Like, I don't know.
He says if it wasn't for his caretaker, he would be in bad shape. He broke down and he told her that he didn't know how to read or write. She read his mail and found the papers from the lawyer. His sister told him that he lost the case by default because he didn't show up.
Like, you ain't giving up notice? Like,
you know, knock on his door, subpoena him.
I'm about to say, first of all, for him, he did have a lot of mail. So he didn't even really open up all the mail. So I'm sure they sent more than one notice.
Yeah.
But then, but then there's our answer.
They did their due diligence.
Yeah, they did their part. Never mind. Yep, sorry.
He said he
Sorry.
lost in court in Ottawa, in Ontario and in Georgia. Devin says Abdullah still denies having hepatitis C, even though the blood test confirmed he had the same rare strain that Devin has. Abdullah then claimed that it was Devin that gave him the hepatitis C. And as noted, the court side with Devin, and he is awarded $2.3 million in damages. Damn.
See,
Tony says Devin shouldn't have gotten anything, and he would have not sued Abdullah. He says Devin should have cut himself, as he never left Abdullah. He never let Abdullah cut him, but Devin was too scared to cut himself.
okay, so see here, this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me, because it's like, you got it, you had the Hep C. Are we positive for sure that you got it from that particular incident? That's where it got
Sure.
like fuzzy for me, because it was like, okay, it could have been another incident before you had that match, and I know you had matches with him before that particular one. Just so happened that one is on tape, so you use this one, and so yeah, I got it from this one. Like I feel like it just like got construed. What's the word I'm looking for?
Misconstrued.
There you go, misconstrued. Where it's like, you saw this video and you seen him cut himself, and then he cuts me. But how do you know he didn't have it before that point? You understand what I'm saying? It's like, you've had many matches with Abdullah, and it just so happened that this one is on tape. So you know what? You give it to your attorney. You're just going to run with this one. And then, of course, you use the fact that he says that he can't read or write. So the mail's not there. So it just was bad on like both people's sides, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that we're both under the understanding that Abdullah was wrong in this instance
Yes,
to use
absolutely.
the blade on himself and
right.
then use it on somebody else. But also, I agree with Tony Atlas. If you are going to blade, you should probably do it yourself and not leave it to anyone else and risk that. And I also agree with you in saying that there is no proof that was the instance that he got hepatitis C. Like Tony said as well, is that people don't always have blades, and they used to get blades from Abdullah and give it back to him and stuff like that. He could have got it in that way. He could have got it from that.
He got it from someone else. So, of course, and they said that, they tested Abdullah, and he has it too. But again, it's like, they don't know exactly where and when it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it feel kind of intentional, and I don't think it was as intentional
like
as it's sounding.
Correct. And I think the guy's under the impression that, yeah, he gave it to me on purpose. No, Hannibal, that's not what happened. Like, these are all accidents, and that's why they're called accidents. Like, I don't think Abdullah was again, he says he's not that smart, but for him to like use the blade, like, he's totally wrong in all counts of like using the blade on him and then using it on him. I'm not saying that he's not. What I'm saying is the point where you have to like think about this older man who's in his 60s. Probably you don't even know. He's probably, when the last time he's been a damn doctor? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. Like, and like, like what Tony says, like, it could have been a whole strew of things that made it come to this point. So I don't think I too would have not sued him, especially for all that money. Like, sir, that's
like,
ridiculous.
If you know him and was friends with him, you should know he ain't gonna have that shit.
And then you do it in two different countries.
Two different states, yeah. Oh, two different countries. You're right, Canada and the U.S.
Yeah, he did it in the U.S. and he did it in Canada. It's like, sir, like, what are you doing? Like, you need two lawsuits? Like,
double fuck him.
I wouldn't pay his ass a dime neither. I'd pretend I ain't got shit either. Shoot.
Abdullah still shows up to wrestling appearances and signings, and Devin accuses Abdullah of hiding his assets, and because of that, hasn't paid him a dime. Tony doesn't think Abdullah has any money to be able to pay. Jocelyn shows photos of Abdullah's broken house that he is living in with no money to fix the issues. She knows Abdullah built a career and people have taken advantage of him. Abdullah notes that he should have went to school and learned how to read and write. He was too worried about money and ended up getting shafted. Devin Devin doesn't buy the not being able to read or write story, as he has seen Abdullah read menus at restaurants and letters from him. I mean, the reading menus at restaurant, I was like, I've seen people who can't read fake like they. Let me get the chicken. Like, it ain't that hard to act really like you're reading a menu.
If you go to a diner, they got pictures. Give me this one. Hello. Like, I was like, he's just reaching at this point now. He's just trying to make his case more, evident that, he wants to make sure that, no one believes what Abdullah, Larry is saying.
Yeah. He notes Abdullah has owned several businesses over the years and has signed off on contracts with WCW and Japan. They just be like, sign right here. And he just...
That's it.
Yeah. I feel like this is like, see, he's read before. He's read stuff. I know this. Nothing you have said is telling me that he can read or write.
Correct. Exactly. And then they're going to try to bring poor Mick Foley in. I'm like, come on, y'all. Now,
his sister backs up the story that he can't read or write. Foley says that he knows Abdullah could read a menu, so they would eat out 3 times a day. I love how Foley said, I've seen him read a menu. So he isn't sure if Abdullah has that issue or not. And if he can't, then Foley is amazed that he became as successful as he has. Hugo is stunned as well, and he never heard Abdullah couldn't read or write. He can't believe Abdullah has a 2nd grade education. He is the most amazing man if he only has a 2nd grade education. We go back to some hardcore wrestling, and Tony says they all felt invincible. Yeah. Hugo says they used to suck the blood out of the head of the heels. And Abdullah talks about violence, and people would come and see you if you don't give them violence. Back to Devin, who ends up having his own legal issues. This is why I was just like, man, this man had a nugget. He had a nugget of credibility to what he was saying. And y'all just ripped it all away. He's sad.
Yep, sure did.
So he ends up with his own legal issues because he works a match where a ref is supposed to bleed. He spikes the ref a few times in the fucking head, legit, and it goes too deep. The promoter decided to not have paramedics on site, and it's just like, you fucking idiot.
Right, you still do this.
The ref ended up getting an infection, and we see photos of his mutilated head. Lance Storm from Wrestling Observer Radio says that he was appalled as he saw a dude with a dozen different gaffes with staples in his head, and he wondered why charges hadn't been pressed and why Devin wasn't in jail. He said, and I quote, "Damn near killed the guy because you were sloppy. There's no place in the industry for that anymore." God damn, that was tough to watch. Just the sight of the blood.
You see how karma works on people, though? You see that?
Hey, reap what you sowed. Reap what you sowed, Devin.
Friend.
Reap what you sowed. Hugo says that he didn't test positive for hepatitis C, and neither did Carlos or anyone else other than Devin, as far as he knows. Devin had experimental treatment to help his hepatitis C, and he says that Abdullah needs to start paying what he can and apologize for what he did. He says that all he can do is move on, and hopefully this is the last time he has to talk about it. And since the lawsuit was in a civil trial, Abdullah was only found liable and not guilty. Same thing that happened to O.J. Simpson when he was found guilty in civil court. In 2011, Abdullah was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And yes, that was nice. I remember this. Abdullah was shocked and didn't believe it until it finally happened. He credits Terry Funk for putting him over in his speech. And Foley says that a person fighting for their life against someone like Abdullah is what is missing from wrestling today. His caretaker calls Abdullah the god of wrestling. She also says that Abdullah never had a chance to prove his innocence and says Abdullah will be okay with the help of God. Abdullah is asked about his
Love church
legacy.
people. Black
Yeah,
church people.
he,
The
he
Lord
be
gonna
fine.
get me through this.
He be fine, honey. He just need the Lord and the prayer
Yep, that's
That's
it.
it. He be okay. He gonna be okay. He gonna
He gonna
be
be
okay.
all right. Yep.
Um, he says that Abdullah says that he just wants the respect for what he has done, and he also did not do the things people accuse him of doing. What people think, he will leave it up to them. This was a little bit easier than the last couple of episodes, but
Yes.
still one that I say, like, I was confused with how I felt following this episode. How did you feel when this episode ended?
Right. I don't know if I should be happy for him or sad for him. Like it was like I was like on the fence for both. Like again, he did something bad, but then I don't know if he did it. He didn't do it on like I don't see him doing it on purpose, but he shouldn't have done what he did. And I don't think his intentions was like, let me get this person sick or infected or whatever. Like that's I know for a fact that's not what happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's like very conflicting feelings. Like 1 minute I'm supposed to like, oh my God, he dropped out of school in the second grade. He went and had all these shops. What a person. And then, okay, now he's like bleeding everyone in wrestling. So it's like
Like we're going different ways, different
Yes.
directions here. Man. Give it up for the Sheik, though. The Sheik is responsible for giving the wrestling world Abdullah the Butcher,
Yes.
Sabu, and Rob Van Dam.
And Rob
Give it
Van
up for the
Dam.
Sheik. For the Sheik. But yes,
The Sheik from Detroit.
Yes, the Sheik from Detroit, not the Iron Sheik.
Not the Iron
Steven Chambers saying referee getting Abdullah's money and more from Hannibal. Yes. Hannibal, whatever money you think you gonna get from Abdullah, you giving that shit right to that referee, sir.
Yep.
Right to that referee, as you deserve.
Absolutely, as you should. As you should.
Karma works in mysterious ways. Mysterious ways. But that brings us to the end of this episode. Let's put our thumbs in the middle, Miss Krssi Love, for season 4, episode 7 of Dark Side of the Ring, Abdullah the Butcher, Legacy of Blood, in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board. All thumbs up so far for no. 6 out of 7 thumbs up so far for Dark Side of the Ring. Magnum TA is the only one that got a thumbs in the middle because they totally didn't want to talk about Tully Blanchard, apparently. I will also admit, even though I'm giving it a thumbs up, there are a lot of stuff that is missing. I felt like because like they totally glossed over he went to WCW. Like, how do you bring up he didn't go to WWF but never mentioned he was in WCW, really?
They just went straight to Japan.
Hannibal saying that, he signed a contract with WCW. But why wasn't that addressed in this documentary? This man is first. He's had closet matches with Terry Funk, had closet matches with Mick Foley. This man has been in the ring with Sting and Ric Flair and the Steiners. Like, he's been in the ring with some greats, and that was never addressed. Like,
none whatsoever. Nope.
We saw Abdullah the Butcher before on Dark Side of the Ring because he was a part of the Bruiser Brody episode. Yeah. How did we not bring up Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher's rivalry?
Only Tony Atlas brought up that
all right.
Bruiser
you know what? Thumbs in the middle for me.
Oh, okay.
Thumbs in the middle because that's too many glaring points. You can still give it a thumbs up. That's fine, but I'm giving it thumbs in the middle because that's too many glaring stuff that they didn't bring up. Too many
missing polls.
Yeah.
The story.
He teamed up with Mick Foley and WCW. What are we doing? What are we doing? Dark Side. Come on. I know you don't have that much time. It's all right. It's all right, Dark Side. You could do better next week. Like Steven Chambers said, Bam Bam Bigelow is the next episode.
They better not mess that one up.
Can't wait. That should be a very good one.
So we have 2 left, right?
3.
3, okay.
It's Bam Bam.
Oh no, this was from 7. This was
WCW Bash at the Beach 2000.
Okay.
and Marty Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty is the last one. Oh, the Marty
Yeah.
Jannetty one. I can't wait to see that one.
That's gonna be interesting. Interesting.
That can go so many ways.
Krssi, who is the MVP for this episode?
Okay. I want to say probably Tony Atlas. Uncle Tony. I'll give it to Uncle Tony.
I'm gonna give it to Mick Foley because he hasn't really gotten any MVPs, even though he's been on here a lot this season. I'm gonna give it to Foley and Jocelyn, the caretaker.
Oh, the caretaker. Yes, she's a gem. I'll give her an honorable mention. And I know who.
LVP Hannibal. Fuck him.
Down. For sure, with a big F and a U.
Give you the stone cold.
Yeah.
Yes. Fuck you, Hannibal. And everything you believe in. Yep. Fuck you. Fuck you.
You still got to pay that. Yep. Pay that referee. You pay that. I hope you're paying that, man. Don't worry about Abdullah. Pay the referee.
Pay what you owe. How about that? Yep. How about that?
Yep.
How about you pay what you owe? You bastards. We got Frantic World that says that WCW episode is interesting. What are they going to talk about that people already know about the pay-per-view? I think they're going to talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff, and they're going to have both Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff on that episode. So it depends on who you believe from the situation, because Eric Bischoff is going to lean more towards the Hulk Hogan side of the story, and Vince Russo
what happened
has his side.
Refresh my memory. What happened at this one now?
This is when Vince Russo basically got into a backstage dispute with Hulk Hogan about the result of his matchup with Jeff Jarrett at Bash at the Beach 2000, and he made Jeff Jarrett lay down for Hogan on national pay-per-view, and then cut a promo on Hogan, calling him a politician, and then stripped him of the title. And then that same night, Booker T won the WCW championship from Jeff Jarrett.
Got it. Okay, now it's coming back. Okay, understand.
I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the summer of 2000. I was 12 years old. See, I remember it. But yes, we're going to talk all about that in 2 weeks. Next week, we talk about Bam Bam Bigelow. But this week, we talked about Abdullah the Butcher. We appreciate y'all for joining us. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share with your friends. Subscribe if you are new. Krssi Love, let the people know where they can follow you on social media and when they'll see you again.
You will see me again. I'll be back here tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. for our flagship show, the main show, which is True Hill Heat. I will be here with SP. I believe Top Guy JJ's. So the gang is going to be all here together. Can't wait. It's going to be fun. Other than that, you see our Dark Side of the Ring episodes every Friday, or it'll drop on a Friday. Not sure yet of our scheduling, but we will try to keep it that way. Other than that, I believe Servant Face and Hill is back this Sunday. Got to check the calendar to make sure. But other than that, you can follow me on IG, which is KrssiLove_1, or just my plain old name, which is Crystal Lynch. Oh, True Hill Krssi Love on Twitter.
There we go. True Hill Krssi Love on Twitter. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at True Hill SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at True Hill Heat. Also, subscribe to True Hill Heat Sports. We're closing in on 500 subscribers over there, so really would appreciate if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button and follow us on TikTok as well for that. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month gets you in the door. You got the True Hill Heat Prediction Championship, more exclusive content. Also, follow us over at twitch.tv/True Hill Heat Gaming. That is where we did our Death Before Dishonor 2023 preview with myself and Stat King last night. You can go over there and check it out. It is on demand right now. And check out all the great content that we got here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel right now. Like everything from our Dark Side of the Ring playlist. Check out our episode 4, episode 4 review for what happened to Doink the Clown. Oh, check out our episode 5 review with the Junkyard Dog episode, and check out last week's what came out on Tuesday, the tragic fall of Adrian Adonis review. Also check out AE Ramble episode 103, Blood, Guts, and Love, with myself and Jimmy Macaram reviewing AE Ramble. And like Krssi Love said, I'll be back with you 11:05 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. True Hill Heat 235. I announced it on our Death Before Dishonor preview on Twitch. I gotta announce it here as well. It's gonna be myself, Miss Krssi Love, Top Guy JJ, the core trio back together. True Hill Heat 235, and special guests will be a member of the Cookout, a member of the True Hill Heat family. You see him on Saturdays, because Saturdays is Set E Day, as Wrestle Talk's own Set E Niangi will join us for True Hill Heat flagship podcast tomorrow. So join us live for that.
It's gonna be a great show tomorrow. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be good stuff. You know how much time you're gonna probably have to wheel us back in tomorrow. SP, you got your work cut out for you tomorrow, friend.
I got a lot of practice with that last week, when the guy who said, "Oh, you've been making these long podcasts," did our longest podcast yet. 3 hours, 35 minutes, because Top Guy JJ spent the first 30 minutes talking about stinky ha-has and threatening to lay the dick on the 3 women in the chat. Yes.
Okay.
We'll talk all about this tomorrow. We're going to address this tomorrow.
Please, I need all of the information. Okay, thank you.
For Krssi Love, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our Dark Side of the Ring, Season 4, Episode 7, Abdullah the Butcher, Legacy of Blood review. We are signing off until next time.